Hello everyone. Today in this class we are going to discuss about class 12 geography book 2, that is India, People and Economy, chapter number 6, and the name of the chapter is called Water Resources Part 1. Sources of water in India. So here sources of water in India means we are talking about sources of fresh water. So we are using fresh water for different purposes. We are using fresh water for different purposes, such as for drinking purposes, for bathing, for washing different utensils, and washing the other things in our day-to-day life. We are using water for fresh water for agriculture. We are using fresh water for feeding the animals. So these are the different uses of fresh water. So generally we have two types of salt, saline water and fresh water. So most of the sea water or ocean waters are salty in nature. So that means we are not able to use, we can't use these water for drinking purposes, for agriculture and for feeding the animals. So because of that, we are using fresh water for different purposes. So here the sources of fresh water means we are talking about sources of water means sources of fresh water. So in India we have three main sources of fresh water. They are surface water. So surface means on the surface of our earth we have different water in the form of different waters are in the different forms. Water bodies are in the different forms. So on the surface of our earth we have water in the form of lake, water body in the form of lake, water body in the form of river, pond and etc. So these are the sources of surface water, fresh water. Next one is sources of underground water. So beneath our earth or below our earth surface we have water. So we are using these groundwater, underground water for different purposes. For example, in our school, 99% of our school water is from underground. So we are using underground water for different purposes, for drinking, for washing the clothes and taking bath, bathing. We are using underground water. So next second source is underground water. And the third source of fresh water in India is lagoon or backwater. So this particular picture shows the lagoon or backwater. So these lagoons and backwaters are mostly formed near to coastal area. So this is coastal area. This particular area is a coastal area. So near the coastal areas of India we have lakes. So these lakes are slight salty in nature. Why? Means because of inclusion of seawater inside these water bodies, these lakes. So we are using these lagoon or backwater for fishing purposes and for irrigation purposes for some particular crops. So these are the three main sources of fresh water in India. So next we are going to learn each sources of water one by one. So the first we are going to discuss about the sources of surface water. Sources of surface water such as lakes, rivers, lakes, tanks, and ponds. So ponds are very small, much smaller than lakes. So ponds are the four major main sources or the four sources of surface water in India. So among the four surface sources of surface water, so rivers are the major sources of surface water in India. So if you talk about, we have in India we have four sources of surface water. So among the four sources of surface water, rivers contribute maximum number of surface water in India. So that means rivers are the most important or the major sources of surface water in India. The total quantity of water of all river systems. River system means a particular river and its tributaries are called river system. So if we add all the river systems water, if we put in the cubic kilometer, so this is one cubic kilometer. 1 kilometer, 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 1 kilometer. So this is an example of 1 cubic kilometer. So if we put all the river waters in cubic kilometer, total we will get in India, we will get 1869 cubic kilometer. We will get total of 1869 cubic kilometer. So out of 1869 cubic kilometer, India is able to use only 690 cubic kilometer. That means out of 100 we are able to use only 32% of available river water, surface water in India. So that means remaining 1179 cubic kilometer river water is discharging in the sea, either in the Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea, mostly in the Bay of Bengal. So this particular, India is able to use only 690 cubic kilometer. It may be because of different geological problems and other economic and other infrastructural problems. So that because of that, India is able to use only 690 cubic kilometer out of 1869 cubic kilometer. So in India, we have many rivers, Himalayan river systems and peninsular rivers. We have many rivers. So in India, we have many rivers. So rivers such as River Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus. So these are the three major rivers, Himalayan river systems. It contributes 60% of India's total river water flow. That means these three rivers out of 100, only these three rivers, they are contributing 60% of India's river water. So these three rivers are very, very important in India. The next one is underground water. So beneath our earth surface, or below our earth surface, we have water bodies in the form of groundwater. So these groundwater we are taking out on the surface of our earth with help of pipes and electric motors. So we are using these groundwater. Again, these is groundwaters are fresh water. So we are using these ground fresh water for different purposes. For example, in our school, we are 99% of our school water comes from underground. So we are using these underground water for different purposes in our day-to-day life. So the level of groundwater keeps on changing with the amount of rainfall. So more rainfall, the water percolation or the recharge of groundwater will be more because of more rainfall. So the water percolation means seepage, is much easier in alluvial soil. So if you talk about India, here we have mostly black and red soil. In this region we have alluvial soil. So alluvial soil are the soft soil. So water seepage or percolation is much easier if you talk about in India in these regions. Because of that, in India we have more groundwater in these regions. That is development is high in the Great Plains of India. So in India we have more groundwater in these regions because of soft soil, that is alluvial soil, as compared to this region. It may be in this region we have impermeable rocks. Here we have more permeable rocks. Because of that, here we have more groundwater recharge is much higher in the northern plains as compared to peninsula plateau. The underground water, again, the utilization of underground water is again different in different part of India, different states of India. So the groundwater utilization is very high in Indian states like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, and very low in Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Kerala, and moderate in states such as Gujarat, UP, Bihar, and Tripura. So these are the, again in India, the groundwater recharge is different because of geological structure and permeability of the rocks, different rocks. And again, the groundwater utilization among Indian states is totally different. In some states the groundwater utilization is high, some states is moderate, and some states is groundwater utilization is low. It may be because of the one main reason is because of green revolution and other agricultural purposes and the amount of rainfall. It may be amount of and rivers. These factors may affect the usage of groundwater in different states of India. The third source of fresh water in India is lagoon or backwater. India has a vast coastal line. So this particular image shows India's coastal line. So coastal area means those areas which are very near to sea. So these areas are called coastal areas, vast coastal line, which forms in India we have number of lagoons and lakes. So these lakes, which is used for fishing and irrigation for certain crops like we can say coconut and some other crops, we can use slight salty in water. So if you talk about India, this is an example of this is located here. Chilka Lake it is in Odisha. So this is again an example of this is the largest lagoon lake in India. So this particular lake is located in Odisha. So this particular Chilka lake, it is using for fishing purposes and for cultivation of certain crops, not all the crops. So because of that, lagoon and backwaters are also included in the sources of fresh water in India. So this is a bay. Bay means it is opposite to peninsula. Bay means a particular water body. It is surrounded by landmass on its three sides. 1, 2, 3. That is called bay. Lagoons means or backwater means in these are the lakes, but these lakes are slight salty in nature because of inclusion of seawater inside these lakes, and we are using these lagoons waters for cultivation of certain crops and for fishing purposes. Because of that, lagoons are included in sources of fresh water. Islands means a particular landmass surrounded by water on its three sides. These are called islands. Next one is, so we know that we already discussed about the sources of fresh water in India. So the next one is we are going to learn about the uses of water in different purposes. So mostly here we have a one table. So this particular table we are only going to discuss about, so mostly going to discuss about the usage of surface and underground water in different sectors in India. So here we have three main sectors: agriculture sector, industrial sector, and domestic sector. So the usage, if we look at, if we study the table, at the first we have uses of uh, water in agriculture. Both surface and underground water uses of underground water and surface water is maximum to agriculture. So here the next topic is demand of water for irrigation is very high in India. So that means we are using surface water. We already discussed sources of surface water such as lakes, ponds, and tanks, and underground water. So we are taking these surface water and underground water with help of irrigation to the agricultural lands in India. So we are with help of irrigation. So in India, the demand of water for both underground and surface water is very high in irrigation in agriculture. We can say in agriculture with help of irrigation. Why is the demand of water is very high in agriculture sector means, first reason is because of unpredictable monsoon. So in India, we have a rainy season that starts from mid June to September. So this particular rainy season is in India, it is called monsoon season. So again, this particular monsoon season is very unpredictable in nature. Sometimes it arrives very early, sometimes it arrives very late, and sometimes we have a break in monsoon. Because of that, in order to protect the agricultural land and crops, we need alternative sources of water, that is through irrigation. From we are taking surface water and underground water in agricultural land, because the monsoon in India is totally unpredictable. So in order to protect the crops, we have to take surface water and underground water to the field through irrigation. Next one is intensity of cropping. That means in India is a highly densely populated region in the world, country of the world, one of the most highly densely populated country of the world. So in intensity of cropping, so India is compelled to practice intensity of cropping in cropping. Why means in India the size of agricultural land in India is very small, and the size of population is very large. So in order to fulfill the amount of crops in India, demand of crops in India, so Indian farmers, they are compelled to cultivate two or more than two crops in a particular field, in the same field during one agricultural year. So that one agricultural year, that means Indian farmers, they are cultivating two or more than two crops in the same field during 1 year. Because of why they are compelled to cultivate, because in order to subsist themselves from the available agricultural land. So because of that, so in India, again, we have our rainy season, that is monsoon season. So other season, again, we need water in order to grow the crop. So we have to take surface and underground water to the field in order to protect the crops. Water intensive crops. So in India, they are cultivating water intensive crops such as rice, sugarcane, and jute. So in India, again, the amount of rainfall, uneven distribution of rainfalls. So this one is third one, uneven distribution of rainfall. So in some Indian states, they are receiving very high rainfall, mostly in northeastern states and um, northeastern states and some of part of the Indo-Gangetic Plain part. We are receiving high rainfall. And if we move towards the west, like Rajasthan areas, the amount of rainfall is very less. So in order to protect water intensive crops such as rice and sugarcane, and sometimes the amount of rainfall is not that much high. Because of that, in order to protect the water intensive crops such as rice, sugarcane, and jute, we have to take surface and underground water through irrigation in the agricultural land. And in India, rainfall is restricted only on few months, so monsoon season is a rainfall. So other than that, since India is practicing intensity of cropping and they are cultivating, that means they are cultivating two or more than two crops in the same field during one agriculture year. So the rainy season is restricted to only few months. So in order to cultivate other crops, other cropping season, they have to take water from surface and underground water to the agricultural land. And the increase in population, it is again related with intensity of cropping. The size of population is in India is increasing day by day. So in order to subsist themselves from the available land, they have to cultivate two or more than two crops in the same agricultural land during one agricultural year. So in order to cultivate crops, two or more than two crops in the same agricultural land during one agriculture year, they have to take water from surface and underground water through irrigation in the field. So here, first we think is we discuss the max and the water utilization is both surface and underground water is very high in high to agriculture sector. They are these uses the uses of underground and surface water are they are taking to agricultural land with help of irrigation. So demand of water in irrigation is high. Why means because of these reasons. So this is pipe or sprinkle irrigation. This is normal irrigation system. So irrigation means taking water to the agricultural land in order to protect the crop from maintain the soil moisture and protect the crops. So the problems of water resources in India and emerging water problems in India. The per capita means per head availability of water in India is dwindling, means decreasing day by day. We have two reasons here. One is because of increasing population. Increasing population, we have to divide water more, and per head availability water is decreasing because one main reason is because of increasing in population. Another reason is the available of water resources in India are getting polluted with through irrigation, through industrials, agriculture sector, and from domestic sectors. So these are the two main reasons which are affecting the per availability of water resources in India is decreasing day by day because of two main reasons. One reason is because of increasing in population. Another reason is because of available fresh water is getting polluted from different sectors such as from industrial, agriculture and domestic sector. So these are the two main reasons that are the affecting the available decreasing or problems related with the water resources in India. So in India we have many rivers. Rivers such as Ganga and river Yamuna are highly polluted river in India. So in India we have many rivers. Rivers such as river Ganga and Yamuna is a tributary of river Ganga. So these two rivers are the highly polluted river in India. So the pollution is because the pollution comes from agricultural. We are using pesticides, chemical fertilizers, and the water is getting polluted. One main reason is because of from agriculture sector. Another one is because of domestic sector, and third reason is because of industrial sector. Because of that, these two rivers are the highly polluted rivers of India. Importance of water conservation and management. It is estimated that the surface and underground water resources available in India will be sufficient till 2025. So till 2025, the available fresh water in India will be sufficient. But in 2050, there will be a severe or acute shortage of both surface and underground water in India. So hence, it is very, very important, necessary to conserve and manage the available water, fresh water in India, fresh water sources in India. So the prevention of water pollution is in India. So generally, more water pollution in plain than hilly area due to irrigation, industrial and domestic. So if we talk about India, uh, in Himalayan region, the water pollution is much less as compared to plain areas of India. Because in plain area, we have more people, more economic activities, more number of industries. Because of that, in plain areas of India, we have more water pollution than hilly areas. We have less water pollution because of in hilly area we have less number of people, less economic activities, less number of industries, and less agricultural activities. Because of that, in hilly area we have less number of water pollution. Water are getting less polluted in hilly areas. Then if we move to plain area, we have more water pollution because of more number of people, more economic activities. So in India, we have again government department or agency, or we can say organization, that is called, at the center we have one that is called Central Pollution Control Board. So this is the logo of Central Pollution Control Board. And in each state of India, we have a State Pollution Control Board. For example, this is Maharashtra State Pollution Control Board. Likewise, we have Tamil Nadu, we have Himachal Pradesh. So each state of India, we have pollution control boards. So with help of State Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board, uh, both works together. They are working together in order to prevent. So mostly pollution means, here pollution means not only means we are talking about water. Here we are talking about air and land and water. Both we are talking about three pollutions, both, and noise also. So here, since this chapter is related to water, we are going to discuss more on water. So in India, we have at a central level, we have one pollution control board that is called Central Pollution Control Board, and at a state level, we have again pollution control boards that is called State Pollution Control Board. Each states we have state pollution control boards. So these work together in 507 stations, that means labs. So they are monitoring the water pollution in different rivers of India through 507 stations in order to manage, in order to monitor, in order to control the water pollutions in rivers of India by taking the water samples from different rivers of India. Water management with recycling and reuse of water. Three R should be strictly followed in India. 3R. So here means reduce in consumption. 3R. R1 stands for reduce in consumption, recycling of polluted water, and reuse the polluted water after recycling it. So these are the 3R. Concept of 3R. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. So reuse of low quality water for other uses such as for gardening, for washing the vehicles, and other cleaning purposes. For example, here we have an example, reuse of kitchen water. So we are uh, washing the fruits and other things in the kitchen. So we can use these uh, water for gardening purposes. So this is called reuse of the kitchen water, or reuse of low quality water for other purposes, so, such as for gardening, for washing the vehicles, and other cleaning purposes. Water management with recycle and reuse of water. Use of new techniques of irrigation such as sprinkling and fountain. This is called sprinkling. It is rotating. And um, fountain, this is again called fountain. First one is, this is another method we can use in the agriculture system. Drip irrigation, this is called drip irrigation. This is traditional irrigation. So instead of this irrigation, we can use drip and sprinkling and fountain irrigation in order to uh, save the waters from leakage problem, from evaporations. So in order to save these waters, we can use new techniques in irrigation such as sprinkling and fountain and drip irrigation. Use of pipes for irrigation. We can use pipes for irrigation because if we use traditional method in most of waters, they are getting leakage problem, lots of another this one evaporation problem. So instead of that, we can use pipe for irrigation in order to save water. Inter-valley transfer of water, such as surplus water of Mahanadi and Godavari. So these rivers we have more water as compared to river Krishna and Kaveri. So mostly these waters are uh, discharging in the sea before it used for agriculture and other purposes. So we can use surplus water from Mahanadi and Godavari. We can transfer these water to other rivers such as river Krishna and river Kaveri before it's discharging to the sea. So we can use these water for transfer to other river systems, and we can use this water for more economic uses. Transfer of Mahanadi and Godavari river transfers through river Krishna, Panir, Polar, and Kaveri river. So this is another method we can conserve the water. Water harvesting. That means during rainy season in India, rainy season, monsoon season, we can store the rainwater in different structures through with help of tanks on the roof of the houses, and we can make artificial this one tanks in order to save the rainwater, and we can use these harvested rainwater to future during off rainy season. We can use these water uh, for irrigation and for agricultural purposes. So these are the some of the methods of water management and recycling and reuse of water for better future. Thank you.